Welcome to the K-Files. Today we are investigating the Dickensian homage on the X-Files, Scully's Christmas Carol. Welcome back to the Lush Basement Office. We're here again, coming to you from a holiday Lush Basement Office this week. We're kicking off the
What
holiday
gave the
season.
holiday spirit away, Katie? What do you think gives it away?
Festive lighting, etc.
The lights.
Yeah, we're kicking off the holidays here on the K-Files. 'Tis the season, and there are some really great holiday episodes of the X-Files that we're going to be taking a tour through this December. First of which is Christmas Carol. Has Christmas in the title, so it was a pretty obvious choice.
It sounds already appropriate enough.
Yeah. Before we kind of promised we were going to maybe do some lighthearted titles, and Christmas Carol, not so much
I
lighthearted.
was lied to. That's what happened.
Well, it is a Christmas episode. It is not as cheery as one might hope.
Did
I
not
guess.
expect what is
Kind of a bummer for, particularly for Scully. We just did Demons, which was the sad Mulder family story, and this is kind of an answer to that. This is kind of the sad Scully story.
just sad left and right, man. Just getting ready for those holidays.
Yeah, well, it is the Christmas Carol. It is, for Scully anyway, it is this realization that she goes through the course of the episode about she survived cancer, and now her priorities are a little bit different than they were before that. Now she knows that she wants to have a child, she wants to have a family, and she also knows she's not able to do that. So it's bittersweet Christmas Carol for her, because reaching out to others, the people on the path are the most important thing. That thing that Melissa tells her in the flashback, like all that good stuff. It's bittersweet because Dana knows she can't have a kid at this point. So it's quite a tale. We get to hang out with the Scullys a little bit. Bill Scully Jr., his wife
Christmas
Tara.
with the Scullys.
Yeah, baby Matthew at the end of we'll do Christmas Carol, and then next week we'll finish it off with Emily.
I mean, it's the holidays all around, you guys.
Yeah, it's the birth of baby Matthew and Emily. That's, the Scully, it's new blood in the Scully family.
New blood.
Yeah. Speaking of blood in the Scully family, this episode is all about how Scully, for most of the episode, thinks that this little girl that we encounter, Emily, is Melissa's daughter. And she's getting calls from beyond the grave.
Man, this whole episode was like topsy-turvy all around, dude.
Scully, I say it all the time, Scully gets more visitations on the show than anyone else. Which is ironic, considering she's always the voice of science, evidence. There's an explanation for this. Nature has an explanation for this. Nope, sorry, you're getting calls from a dead person. Nature's not going to have your answers.
No one gets out of it, man.
So Scully has to go on a different journey to find the truth. And interesting tidbit, David Duchovny is not really in this episode very much.
Yeah, that was a little weird, man.
Well, come to find out, he was shooting a movie called Playing God that came out around this time, and so his schedule was such that they had to kind of write him out of an episode. And in X-Files history, when an actor needs to not be in an episode, they creatively write them out in a way that forwards the mythology, like how what happened when Scully was abducted. Gillian Anderson was pregnant. Back then, they did that, and it really progressed the mythology. Similarly, Duchovny's got to be absent, and so they wrote into the story of the X-Files mythology this little detour into, poor Emily, this detour into the story of Emily, of Scully's first child, the miracle that was not supposed to be, as Mulder calls her, little Emily.
Talk about new drama on the works, man. Like, don't get me wrong, the little girl, as cute as she was also very terrifying in a way.
Oh, that you are afraid of that little child actor?
Well, she kept giving these looks, these stares, where I'm like, really? She's going to turn on us any second. No one's going to doubt her? Okay. All right, I'm going to go down this trip with you guys. Sure, why not?
Yes, she definitely, that little actress who plays Emily Sim, belongs in the pantheon of X-Files child actors who can stare 1,000 yards and probably beyond, deep into the abyss and through it and all that. Yeah, so definitely she has that sort of 1,000-yard stare going on from previous X-Files child actors. But I think she's a great little actor, too. She's very stoic, considering how young she looks. I would say probably that actress was about 5. Emily Sim was supposed to be 3.
adorable. She was adorable.
Very cute little girl. It's really heartbreaking, the story of her, especially because she is such a cutie patootie. But Scully, comes to find her, and that's what Mulder kind of says at the end of Emily, which we'll get to next week. But he kind of explains the meaning behind seemingly what could be a meaningless thing that happens, which is that poor Emily was essentially put on the earth to just be a science experiment, seemingly. But Mulder says the meaning of that to Scully, which is that Scully got to find her and love her, and so there's some meaning to that story.
Right.
So, but that's in this part in Christmas Carol, we're more focusing on Scully. Mulder is absent. She calls him once and then she hangs up before she can talk to him. So, Scully's on fragile emotional state because she does that. She did that in Chinga when it was kind of a similar thing where it was like, this is something that I should talk to Mulder about. But because I'm experiencing it and I don't know what's real.
At least she knows he'll always pick up, man. That's like it's a good confirmation.
Mulder's just waiting around to pick up the phone every time.
I got you, Scully.
Yeah. He's always running in from exercise. Do you ever notice that? Whenever Mulder picks up the phone and Scully hangs up on him, he's always like bounding in with a basketball and like sweat rings. Like that was David Duchovny's role in this episode. But which is great. I'll take that. Who doesn't want, exercise, Duchovny?
Katie.
Christmas. Merry Christmas, right? Other things from this episode, I have said it before and I'll say it again. I love Shelia Larken, who plays Margaret Scully, Scully's mother on the show. And I think that the relationship between those characters, as played by those actors, feels very real.
Yes.
And,
absolutely.
We get a special thing in this episode. Scully keeps things from her mother historically. She doesn't tell her a lot about her life. But in this episode, we get something a little different. Scully actually tells her mom the sad thing that she's learned about herself, which is that she's been made sterile by the thing that happened to her abduction and all that stuff. And so she actually like opens up to her mom. And I always love seeing that because there's so much of Scully sort of keeping her mom in the dark. And but when she actually opens up, that's the best. When you get to see Gillian Anderson especially play those moments of like Scully's so reserved. She even talks about it in the episode. Like she doesn't let people in because she's afraid of death and dying. Like that character is defined by those traits.
Those two have such a great chemistry no matter what.
Yeah.
Always.
Truly.
No matter how little time we get with them, it's just the right amount, for sure.
And I also love the Bill Scully Jr., also the older brother.
He was such a jerk a little bit.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
I get it. He was big brother status, but you didn't have to be so much of a dick, man.
No, that is characteristically how he is on the show. Most recently we saw him, this is the first time we're seeing him since a few episodes before, earlier in the 5th season, Redux 2, when he was giving Mulder so much shit.
See?
When Scully was in the
Another
hospital
episode where he
dying.
was a jerk. Come on, man.
Yeah, but he's that voice, though. He's,
True.
Scully's voice to the nth degree. He's practical to his own detriment, practical to the point where he's willfully being blind, not seeing. So Scully Scully very rarely tips over into that Bill zone of just being a disbeliever outright because of fear.
Right.
Also Bill Jr.'s in the Navy, like he's a practical guy, so it kind of does match his character. But yeah, no, he's a jerk. That's kind of what we know of him in this show, is he just shows up, gives Dana cakes.
One episode where he's super nice, and then I'll be happy. Just one.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't get it, but I'll be hopeful.
I think it's a great story, though, because it's real. Siblings don't always get along, and as adults, both Bill and Dana, their characters, as written on the show, are very realized. They're complicated, rich, psychological characters, so it really tracks. Like, their arc on the show tracks of just butting heads, and Bill wanting, like his father, wanting to tell Dana what to do, thinking he knows best for her, being the big brother.
He means well, for sure. You can tell. It's just like, your perch sometimes isn't the best, dude.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what's best for Dana, and that's what she tries to tell him over and over and over again. So... Christmas Carol. It's what I love about it is that it's not a perfect episode, and people, fans over the course of the show, I think Christmas Carol and Emily, that arc, it maybe not the most positive on it, just because poor sad Emily, we see her for 2 episodes and then we forget about her. We really don't deal with her again, and it seems to me that should have more emotional ramifications for the characters. So that maybe that is what people are responding to, is just that it comes up and it doesn't necessarily play out organically in waves for the characters. It's just one and done, and Emily Sim is forgotten literally to the sands of time. So that's Christmas Carol. But what I do love about it is that instead of the ghosts of Christmas past and all that, Scully's visited by people from her past, by her family members, by her own young self. So it's a pretty cool little TV writing experiment in that way. And so from that standpoint, I do enjoy seeing the execution.
Christmas Carol, X-Files style, man.
Yeah. Thank you for opening the file with us, kicking off this December season. We're going to be back next week with Emily with the conclusion to Christmas Carol. And then on into the new year, we'll be doing some more holiday fun.
Oh my God, New Year, you guys.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on the K-Files. I'm your host, Katie. You can find me at KMoles on social media.
And I'm your co-host, Grisal. You can find me at Grisal on all social medias. And we're coming at you from HollywoodRedux.com, you guys.
Yes. Very exciting addition to the Hollywood Redux universe. We now have a store. It's called Redux Gear. You can go to reduxgear.com and shop our cool merch. We have a lot of great art by Agent Lopez here. Some cool t-shirts. If you haven't seen her art before, you're going to want to go check it out. It's very cool.
I mean, you can. You totally should, though. It's pretty rad, but that's just me.
Yeah, so check it out. And stay with us through the new year, because we've only got more content rolling out to you on Hollywood Redux. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, guys.